match between ABM and Daaku Sena. Both of the teams being one of the best teams right now. Both of them have made a name for themselves. Especially when we talk about ABM, they are one of those undefeated kings right now. So I'm really excited to see what happens in this game. Well, what do you think, Sarah? Will we see some, the same standard bans, or will we see some respect bans incoming from both the teams? Because since both of these teams are quite known, so
Exactly so, Asuya, and I think the respect bans will be coming in from the side of ABM. And as we were speaking, we can see the Eve respect ban for Yamraj from the side of Daku Sena. And even now, with the M6 tournament going on worldwide, we will be seeing some other respect bans which can be said to be standard bans as well, considering the fact that both of these teams have a very wide hero pool and they could be playing around the heroes and pick up something completely unconventional and show them that they can play it and carry their team forward to victory. For the side of ABM, though, their next ban would be a Matilda, which again is interesting, denying that pick for Lavi as well, and Takusena will be going in with that Jokshin ban. Jokshin here currently not exactly targeted towards Abhi or Asuna as we know him more popularly to be, but it's more of a standard ban from the side of DS.
well, true. All the heroes just getting banned out of those power picks. With that, we must see that two of the mages have been banned out, even though a lot of assassins are yet to be banned out, just like Suya is open. Alpha, Chip, yeah, so many heroes yet to be banned. A Sicilian might also be there on the list. And with that, I think banning out a Matilda is always a great response because she opens up a lot of team compositions. With that being a dive in, a hitbox, because she's always there with the disengage. And ABM finally banning out a Phoebus. So do you think, since nowadays Bruno's been making some waves in the land of Dawn, so will we see him getting picked up? Or will ABM just give it to Dakusena?
And that's a very interesting question because even with Bruno getting picked up by these teams, there is always a possible counter. And according to M6, the most recent and most interesting counter for Bruno is to pick up a Layla. A Layla of all heroes into these kind of drafts and teams like ABM and DS playing it, that will be something really, really interesting to see. And look at that. Team Dakwasena, no hesitation at all. They just instantly lock in onto that Sicilian and Bruno, securing their mid to late game. Sicilian has the bat space, the bat's impact, as well as the sanguine claws, and with that wishing lantern item being picked up by him in the third or fourth slot, is just going to be melting down that Hilda and whatever EXP or roam that the side of ABM tries to pick up. Possibly we would be seeing a Gatotkacha or such, but no, instead they take up the Ling and the Valentina. We would be seeing Ryu on that Ling, and Jay would be the one going in towards on the EXP this time. So things will definitely start to look interesting because this time DS has picked up on that Gatotkacha. So ABM will have to find an answer for those picks.
Well, true, and I think picking up a Link is a great choice here because I have seen Ryu play a Link before, and he is absolutely insane. And I'm sure that Sicilian and Bruno will not be having a hard, easy time, especially towards the early game, because I'm sure Hilda as well as Link will just try to shut them down in the early game because, of course, no one wants a Bruno to farm up. No one wants a Sicilian to stack up because two of these heroes are those late game security, and Dakusena might even, they might even look for extending the game towards the late because they have a late game insurance. Meanwhile, from the side of Team ABM, Valentina as well as Hilda, both of them are those early game aggro heroes, so they might go in really aggro from the beginning. And of course, Link does need a snowball, so that would just favor them even more because they will be able to provide what their jungler wants.
Exactly so, and that Fredrin, Hylos, Tigreal, and the Nathan, those were four pretty good bans, I would say, because that Nathan can actually counter the Bruno because he has the greater magic damage and attack speed towards the late game, and Bruno not always can win out in a 1v1 or the team fights, even though he might have the malefic gun. And then again, Tigreal being picked up by the side of ABM would give them a huge advantage for the Ling and Valentina to play around that implosion setup, while Daaku Sena would be facing a hard time protecting their backline. So definitely good bans coming in by both of those teams. As for picks though, I do want to see a Khalid in the EXP from the side of ABM, since he is still open, and Hilda going in towards the role. That's a possible draft combination. But on the goal lane though, we might see a Claude, or we might just, now, like, anything can be picked up in there. We will have to see. Since Anti is the goal laner from the side of ABM, I think we might be seeing a Moskov or a Claude getting picked up pretty soon, while there is some kind of a other frontliner being picked up by them, or even a healer. You never know. Apex can pick up on an Angela and be your perfect eagle. But then again, Daaku Sena, they definitely are going to be looking for a Roma or EXP in a kind of in the same situation. But okay, we will be seeing a Beatrix and a Carmilla coming in from the side of ABM. One thing, if you noticed though, Asuya, even though Carmilla is going to land up that ultimate, the Curse of Blood, even if it hits four people from the side of DS, there's no instant burst coming in from the side of ABM. So I think that might play out as a disadvantage during the team fights.
Well, might be possible. And then again, I did see Carmela being picked up in the EXP lane in the M6. So they might even go in for Carmela EXP. Who knows? Because they might go in to harass the enemy jungle because it's Bane after all. And with that, just like you mentioned, like even though the curse of blood might connect onto a lot of people, damage the burst is not enough. But then again, they do have a Beatrix and her late game potential pretty good. Mid to late, she can deal out a lot of damage. And what I also think, since there is a Bane and Valentina might be looking to take up the AOTG or the deadly catch from the enemy team, that would be a pretty good damage multiplier. But then again, it really depends on how the Carmela's ult is going to land. Meanwhile, if you see the side of Daaku Sena, they have really a straightforward kind of draft. They just need to, Kadot Kacha needs to initiate. Same goes for Aglu, looking for those initiations in the front lane. And the rest is just follow up, Sarah.
Exactly so. And looking at the land of Dawn, everyone, we are right into the first game, and both of these junglers would be looking towards a rotation in the EXP lane. Sorry, the goal lane, while their EXP laners just poke each other around. And definitely not surprised, it's a Hilda in the EXP and Carmilla in the roam for the side of ABM, while Valentina tries to harass Yamraj down in the mid lane. The goal lane though, Bruno will have a bit of an early advantage since he does have the higher range, but Anti will be trying to freeze down the lanes. And you know what the good news is about this game? That we can see an unofficial Snapdragon reunion from the side of ABM. There's Ryu, there's Apex, there's Anti. There's another member on the battlefield, but we're not gonna name him. He's just there for the fun's sake. But then again, it's good to see the old squads back into the game performing so high up in the tournaments these days, don't you think?
Well, true. Obviously, it's always good to see them. But I think Hilda might be looking pretty low right now, although she does have that heal.
Oh, but no! Patroclus actually secures that first blood, and even Ryu gets immobilized into that team fight. Glue doing his best, but Ryu will be using up his second skill to try and escape. Valentina still does not have that early game damage output, while Sicilian's bad impact is dealing quite some damage on towards the mid lane. But I do think that the turtle fight will be up very soon, and Glue is doing quite the good job of zoning out their junglers, because Ling, he is a pretty squishy jungler and will have to look for that opening to try and get the retribution and engages on point.
Well, true. And in that team fight, I think it was kind of an overextension from Hilda. But then again, it is the early game. She will be back right there in a moment. Jay doing an absolutely amazing job, and we might see some skirmish being like, just look at Yamraj just getting harassed at this point.
Exactly so, but look at that. There is going to be the bat space being used up by Yamraj, and he might even have to recall to get his mana back. Jay, though, zoning really, really well, but Abhi will be going in with that ultimate, using Glue's ultimate, but will be taken down as DS secures two kills in a row before the turtle is even contested by them. Ryu would be looking for a sneaky retribution, but I think DS is smart enough to not let that happen. They will be trying to zone him away as much as possible, especially Glue. But look at him. Ryu has a chance. He uses Tempest of Blaze, but does not have the time to use the retribution as Patroclus steals it away right from in front of him, and ABM looking quite on the back foot at the moment.
I mean, LP being taken down right there wasn't the best of options from the side of ABM right there because they really need her. At the same time, I was really hoping that she takes up the deadly catch because they would be really really successful on zoning people away. But then that did not happen. Even Apex was forced to just recall. So two of the members missing right there. What can Ryu do all alone? Because even Jay wasn't enough. He was taken down. And I think, like, I was really hoping that there will be a lot of aggression from the side of Team ABM, but I see something completely opposite happening. Just look at that.
And oh my god, that AOG connected right on towards Apex, and the damage output coming in by Absolute Cinema in the early game itself is just a chef's kiss. That's why you don't open a Bruno. Like, even in M6, pick up a Bruno, pick up the Malefic gun, and you have the win in your favor. That is exactly what is happening with DS right now, and we might even see the Bruno respect band coming in the next game. And with that, DS has the perfect opportunity to try and get the turret for themselves, but Apex here will be getting caught out a little bit too much, but the damage
Ooh.
coming in from that Curse of Blood takes Yamraj down as Apex will be a sacrifice. Bruno secures that crab right onto him. Ryu will be trying to get the mark onto Absolute Cinema while Anti secures that kill right away. Patroclus being the sole survivor. That is what a Carmilla is being used for. You need to step away when that happens. Patroclus is also looking in a little bit of a danger as it was a 4-man, 5-man rotation on towards that goal lane to try and get Anti a little bit of that lead.
I mean, that's what you need from a team, right? That's what you need from a Carmilla. The Curse of Blood landing so beautifully onto so many members, the mage being taken down, and that's not what you actually need because even though Sicilian doesn't have enough damage in the early game, he does have the Sanguine class to connect onto people to CC people away. At the same time, Jay joining that team fight on Beatrix's damage, of course it was a winning team fight for the side of Team ABM right there, but the turtle again secured by Bane.
Okay, D is managing to win out on the neutral objective. Look at that Tempest of Blades. Gets the knock up onto Absolute Cinema, but will be taken down by him as the revenge. Jazz did mark down on the Beatrix, but look at that 3-man Curse of Blood lands right away. Apex been caught out pretty low. Yamra chasing him down with the bat speed. That flicker is missed onto the wall. Beatrix trying to slow them down as much as possible, giving Apex the window of opportunity to run away from that team fight as he successfully manages to do that. But ABC takes the kill onto Anti with a perfect dash. That is so well done by him right then and there.
I mean, where the positioning, Bruno knows when to come in. He just let everyone disengage, and he does know that he doesn't have that early game damage potential yet. But then again, he came in the right spot right there. I think Apex looking though he will be taken down. And what's happening to ABM in this team fights? They're kind of scattered around, and they're coming in one by one, just getting peeled away one by one. And that's not something which you really want to do. You really want to wait up for Apex to land those curses of blood, like I mentioned before, and then follow up on that. At the same time, Ryu did the same thing. Too much overextension.
Exactly. So, but look at that. Ryu once again using that Tempest of Blades and baits out the flicker from both Yamraj as well as ABC. But then again, Bruno would now have to position himself pretty safe, and he should also actually pick up on that wind chant really soon because the major damage from the side of ABM is because of the Beatrix and the Ling. The Valentina, Hilda, sure, they can zone him out, poke him out, but they aren't going to burst him as well as a Beatrix or a Ling will do. So he will have to look into that matter quite well. Abhi here poking down Lavia's bell as will be flickering out as Patroclus tried to chase him down with the retribution, I believe. So that means that during the turtle they won't have any retrieve. But look at that, Hilda looking for that engage onto Gatotkacha, but the perfect immune coming in with that AOG. But there again, there's no curse of blood from the side of ABM, but Ryu does manage to get the rectory as Apex is getting chunked down lower and lower. He's getting picked off a little bit too much. The minion is going to be down in the mid lane. Abby uses that deadly catch, but Bruno with that burst damage really dealing quite some issue to the side of ABM right now. Hilda with her ultimate gets the stun onto ABC, will have to dash out of the team, but he does not have the mana to engage in that fight, but Anti getting caught out and gets the flicker immobilized and the kill. Jazz with the play right into the mid lane, and now the mid lane turret is in danger as well, but I do think ABM is going to defend it right away.
I mean, 8 minutes into the game, DS did have the 3K goal lead, but then again, the turtle did equalize it quite a bit. But then all these trade-offs, once again, the same goal laid on the hands of Daaku Sena. They are doing an amazing job. I mean, just look at Bruno already with two of his great items, the Horse Claws and the Berserker Fury. No wonder he's hitting so hard. At the same time, I was hoping that Sicilian might go for just the gem and then for the anti-heal, but then they did not. But look at the engage in the bot lane.
That is exactly what Jay and Ryu, they are going to mark down on the Bruno very, very hard, and DS needs to do their absolute best to protect their goal laner, because that Bruno is the win condition for the side of DS. But look at that, Jay going a little bit too in the middle of 5 people, while Jazz is being an absolute menace for that Beatrix as he is trying to mark him down. But look at the damage coming in by that Sicilian, catches Anti right into that immobilize, while Jazz and Kacha are going to be chasing down Apex, zoning him away as Sicilian will be the one taking down that tier 1 towards the bottom lane.
I mean, when we look at the macro right now, absolutely in the favor of Team Daaku Sena, and Ryu did manage to take that top lane turret. Meanwhile, his blue buff was denied, but I think Ryu might be in a bad position in the top lane.
Exactly so. Like, no matter how farmed you are, once a Bruno has his items, there is simply no one who can stop a Bruno from taking you down in a 1v1 or even any kind of team fight, you name it. And look at that. Jazz again managed to bait out the flicker from Apex, used up his ultimate, but now he's in a little bit of a danger. Will have to flicker out of that situation as Jade doesn't find the kill onto Jazz. ABC Yamraj, they need to position themselves safely now, because Ryu will have his House's Claws and Berserker's Fury and will be dealing quite some damage, while Gazotkata needs to position himself right next to his damage dealers if the side of Team DS wants to take the win in their favor, because otherwise, once the Curse of Blood lands, Team ABM might just have the upper hand.
I mean, true, and then again, the Lord marching down from the bot lane, and I think DS is doing an amazing job, especially Jazz on that Lewis being an absolute menace, always trying to zone out Abhi and Apex from those team fights, and that's what you need. You do not want Apex into those team fights, landing those curses of blood, and with that they are having a safe time, and Bruno, of course, he's always there with his damage, with the follow-ups. I was really hoping for Hilda to, zone away Yamraj, or even our absolute cinema, but he's unable to do so because the wall, the kind of protection circle for the damage dealers coming from the side of Daaku Sena is absolutely amazing. I mean, just look at them.
And oh my goodness, there is an AOG trying to be connected onto them. The Curse of Blood doesn't land onto anyone, and LB gets taken down. A mega kill for Patroclus as Absolute Cinema takes down Jay as well. The damage coming in, using the Tempest of Blades just to immune that basic attack coming in from the Bruno. DS is going to be marching down the mid lane. 2 members are down. There are no skills onto Anti-Apex and Ryu, as these teams will be looking for the end. Team DS looking very strong in the first game right here and now, will be freezing up the lanes and will be waiting for the enhanced lord to come up at 12 minutes.
Ryu, you really need that blue buff, but then again, he's been constantly denied. What can he even do? Even if he goes towards the back lane, tries to take down the marksman, or even Yamraj, he doesn't have that enough energy. And with the Clock of Destiny and also the Wind of Nature in the hands of Bruno and Yamraj, they are pretty chunky. Especially that's what the Sicilian is known for.
Look at the damage output coming in by ABC. Takes down Apex just like that. That Carmilla not looking so strong in this game. And look at Abhi as well using that AMU AOG to just to escape out of that situation. DS once again will be looking for that mid lane push. Lovey as well just having fun with that passive of his J getting melted down in a split second by the Sicilian as well as the Bruno. Bruno having the time of his life into that, taking anti down with that mega kill, marking down the base as much as possible. The minions are out. They do need to back up. The Tempest of Blaze gets the knockup, gets the double kill, but DS is looking strong. They're looking for the end, gets the triple. Will he get the Maniac? He's trying for it. Jazz chunking down the HP. Will he get the Maniac? No, Yamraj is the one who secures the kill, but ABC will be trying to look for that base itself, and GS gets the first win in their favor in this best of 3.
You know, this is what I was gonna say. Like I said this right from the beginning. Will ABM risk it to give away the Bruno to the Daaku Sena? And that's what they kind of paid for. Because Hilda is pretty amazing, but then again, you can actually counter her. Don't pick a jungler who is an assassin. Go for an alpha. Go for a high loss. And yes, she is pretty counterable, but then again, giving up a Sicilian and the Bruno, two of the amazing heroes right now, climbing up the meta with that immense damage. And of course, the snowball which ABM needed, they couldn't get it because they, just like you mentioned, Sarah, they did lack a lot of burst potential. They couldn't snowball either in the early game. And then again, I think Abhi's Valentina is pretty good, but then again, in this kind of game, when she's paired up against two long-ranged heroes, she kind of fell short. So I think it was a pretty good game from the side of Daaku Sena. They completely utilized all of the cards they had in their hands. The front laners doing absolutely amazing job in protecting as well as zoning out and giving the time and space for the damage dealers to farm it out.
Absolutely.